The Frankie Boyer Show is a vegetarian show. There's no beef. Well, at least there's no bull. There's no pork. And the only chickens around here are the quacks that are afraid to come on the show. Wait a minute. Quacks. Those are ducks, not chickens.
And welcome back, WADK, WCRN, WACE. Our next guest really and truly wants us to understand that this conversation that we began with Dan must continue. We must understand that not only do we need to take the mega doses of vitamin D and the quercetin and the zinc and all of the things that we talked about last segment, and of course our P73, which is so critical. Oh my gosh, that P73, that is a game changer for this virus, for any virus rather, and that is the oregano and oregano oil products. So, but she wants us to understand that it's also mentally. And I'm going to let her explain a little bit more about that. Marilyn Redmond, her books are internationally sold all over the world. She is an ordained minister for spiritual counseling. She does so many things, and she's a teacher, speaker, medium. And Marilyn, what a pleasure. Welcome to the program.
Well, I'm so glad to be here, and thank you for inviting me.
So, Marilyn, let's talk about the misinformation. We're not getting the entire story. We're not getting all the information about health from a lot of places today, and that's very, very disturbing.
Well, you know, we have been given a lot of what I call programming, and it really definitely has an agenda. So what is going on in our health field is not really what people have known for hundreds and thousands of years. It's been narrowed down to just paying attention to what the medical field tells you. And so basically it's called a homeopathic procedures, and it's non-holistic, and it only deals really with surgical answers or medication. For thousands of years, the Chinese used energy healing. The Indians used herbs and plants for healing. The alternative to allopathic health is to use homeopathic or holistic health answers and solutions, which are non-toxic. Medications are poisons made in a lab. I hate to say it, but if they're mind and mood altering, they change your feelings and your emotions, stuff your feelings, and keep you from emotionally growing. So you can't get out of the fear that we've been indoctrinated into. So when you can release those energies and move into a higher consciousness where there is no illness, there is no disease. And two ways to do that is through homeopathic methods, and cell salts is one of that, has helped me tremendously because the cells of our body do have consciousness, and they've been blocked and stuck in fear because we are a fear-based population. And you have to release the blockages so that the energy in your system can vibrate and move through your system to sustain you in health, and medical people call it the vital life force. Chinese people call it qi. Different cultures have different names for that energy that goes through us to give us life. And if that life is suppressed, we get sick. So if we're sick, it's actually a signal that we aren't connected to the love in the universe. And homeopathic deals with the cells opening up and talking to your innate. The innate is another word for God within. And when that message is sent to the proper inner source of who you are, to get well and get healed and healthy, that is huge because you've changed the intention of where you are from fear to being a love-based person. But there's more to it than just that, which you indicated earlier, is that holistic health deals with the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual parts of our lives so we come into total balance. My books are about, especially Paradigm Busters, Reveal the Real You has the actual details of how to change from a fear-based person, which is going to be sick because you're blocking off the love of the universe to keep you well, and how to go through the process of actually allowing that loving energy to restore your health and bring you back to the place where you were created in, which is our natural abilities. And so it's knowing that there's other options, and sadly, the medical profession was taken over by the Rockefellers in the early 1900s to sell their prescriptions, their drugs were making in laboratories. It was about a profit-making situation rather than a health situation. And they were indoctrinated to use that as fixing people rather than actually looking within.
You know, Marilyn, we have an uphill battle when we talk about whole person living, because it's not, it's not the common and it's not the normal, unfortunately. And you just look at the number of issues that are plaguing most Americans today. And so we have these comorbidities that are rearing their ugly heads. We have a country that does not support food as thy medicine, or the natural laws of the land and eating off the land, the things that were so basic to our beginnings. We could use the soil and get the nutrients that we need from just the soil alone.
Well, that's because there's been people out there choosing to change our focus and give us information that isn't accurate, but it is to their benefit, and it's about money. I loved this movie years ago, and it said, how do you find out the answers? Well, follow the money.
Yes.
And
Yes.
when you do that, you'll find out where these things instigated from. So it's just a choice to choose to follow what you've been taught and told, or to research what's really going on behind the scenes. And when I ended up in treatment, because of being addicted to prescriptions from the doctors, I had to find an alternate way to think and to live my life, to live, because I was dying at the time, literally. The doctor in treatment said I was in the last stages of alcoholism, and to pick up was to die. And so I had to find a way to live, and I found a spiritual path that exposed me to the truth of who we are and what is health and what is not, and to change my thinking and my emotions, my feelings, my behaviors, so that I align with the love of who I was created as. Rather, I don't listen to experts anymore. In fact, I had to actually give up my religion because I was told to stay in my marriage, and my husband was trying to kill me. I wouldn't be talking to you today if I listened to my religion. So, and I had to give up doctors because they were actually addicting me and poisoning me, and I was dying, as I just mentioned. So I had to find answers that were going to keep me alive. And when I heard years ago, Albert Schweitzer was a missionary doctor, very well known several years back in the 50s in Africa, and I heard him say, I'll tell you a secret. All healing comes from within. And when I read that was while I was still mystified about life, but it really rang true to me. And when I got to treatment and found that there's a spiritual path that can be a better, in my case, life-giving force of path for me to follow, I've been on that path for 35 years. And when I came to understand through spiritual growth and groups that I was in, when Tesla said, if you want to understand the universe, it's about energy, vibration, and frequency. So what I had to do was change my energy from the low vibrations into the high vibrations, from the fear. I'm no longer a fear-based person. I have become a love-based person. So what I send out is what comes back to me, and I'm sending out love and health to people through the work I do, and my life has just bloomed beyond what I could even imagine would have happened to me. So I found the path that works to create rather than to destroy.
Marilyn, this is so much to digest and so informative, and I think that we want to believe and trust, and unfortunately the answers are not forthcoming and truthful. And so we need to take care of ourselves. We need to take care of ourselves, everybody. It's not a doctor or practitioner, but we need to. We need to begin at the basics again and go back to what we really need to nurture our souls and who we are as whole individuals.
Well, I found that that's exactly true, and I found the answers by meditating. Nobody knows my path better than I do, but I have to connect with it and get rid of what's blocking it. And that book, Paradigm Busters, Reveal the Real You, my book, Finding the Real Meaning of 2012, it's all about getting rid of our ego, or edging God out, as some people call it. And so we are open and directly connected to the truth of who we are. When you meditate, you bypass the ego's negative, destructive messages that make us sabotage our lives because we think we're unworthy or we don't deserve or we don't have any confidence. All those things come from the ego. So when you bypass that kind of thinking and messages and you start promoting the love within and find that love and self-esteem of who you really are, then you're coming from a productive life that is absolutely marvelous. It feels good, and I think we all want to feel good. I was looking for feeling good, alcohol did for me, but I came from a very dysfunctional family of alcoholism, mental illness, and domestic violence, and I didn't know how to feel good. And today I've never had a better life than I could have. I never even thought I would ever be called sane. But,
I love it. Marilyn Redmond, we have to take a quick break. We will be back in just a moment. WADK, WCRN, WACE. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a moment with Marilyn. And Marilyn, give out your website, please.
AngelicasGifts.com.
And we'll be right back. Stay tuned. I'm Frankie Boyer.
This is your daily dose of Frankie Boyer. One good thing about it is you just can't get enough.
And welcome back. It is Frankie Boyer, and this is WCRN, WACE, and WADK, and we're always so thrilled to have you with us. WADK is taking the show for 2 hours, Monday through Friday, and it's a combination of the Holistic Health Show and my Biz Talk radio show, which is a very fun lifestyle show, nationally syndicated, and I think you all might really enjoy it. And let's not forget on Tuesdays, right here on WCRN, my cannabis show at 10 o'clock live. Yes, 10 o'clock live on WCRN on Tuesday mornings. And it's a very informative show. Very informative about CBD and all the benefits. It's just a great show. I love doing it. I've been so educated through the years and have had so many tremendous guests on. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Let's get back to today's program. We're talking to Marilyn Redmond. Marilyn's website is Angelica's Gifts. And you say love is an expression of the willingness to create space in which something is allowed to change. Claim your health, healing, and happiness with Marilyn. And so, Marilyn, for people that are just joining us, the deleterious effects of the medicines that you were taking caused you great harm and hurt your body. Just because it's prescribed, it doesn't mean it's going to work, number one. And the majority of medicines that are given out for mental health, 40% of them are ineffective anyway. But it's just such an interesting path that we are on today. And we want fixes, but we don't necessarily want to work at the fixes. It's like we want that instant, poof, make it better.
Well, we live in a life where we have instant pudding and instant coffee and instant whatever.
That's right, yeah.
I have an instant hot tap in my kitchen, so I get hot water immediately for my tea. So we've been taught to look for instant gratification, and life is about actually the process of moving our energies from low vibrations to high vibrations, which is a high consciousness of love. And people don't want to feel their feelings. And when you take a toxic substance, it actually stuffs your feelings. Oh, I feel good. Well, you don't really feel at all. You're just numb. That's what it did to me anyway. I just was a walking zombie on the medications from the medical field. And certain bodies digest chemicals differently, too. So sometimes it's indicated. Penicillin was a wonderful invention or finding. My boyfriend just got through a triple bypass, and he had to do it under anesthesiology, so anesthetics. So, when you have a broken bone, there's times when certain medications are indicated and absolutely appropriate. But if you're coming to thinking you want a better life, we create that within. That's where I didn't know how to, because my parents, in their case, I know generationally there was alcoholism and mental illness running through the family for years and generations. It was dropped on me. That's what was modeled. That's what I learned, and that's how I grew up. I didn't know anything different. I didn't know how to have feelings. There was no talk, no trust, and no feelings in my family. So I have had to find out, how to thaw out from all the medications, and the withdrawals was horrendous. I won't even go into that. But it's worth the time and effort to do it, because I came out on the other side alive and well and present, and I can be in my life today. I'm not a walking victim. And so I can feel the joys, but I can also feel the grief, and the grief has to leave so the better energy can come in and replace it. And that's what you were sharing when you opened up this session, is I have to release the negative feelings of the abuse I went through. I was in a 30-year domestic violent marriage of rape. I had to go through those feelings without medications. That stops it. I have to let those energies leave, and they can't flow out if I'm drugged. So I have to get sober. I had to get clean. I had to be able to be available for those feelings to move. Emotions are motion, energy in motion, and we are in the loving flow of the universe, but I was blocked off from it with the medications. I couldn't feel the love, and I was, of course, looking for love in all the wrong places. I think a lot of people are, and I know today that that love was within. I just didn't know how to connect with it, and that's why my material and the teaching I do and the counseling and the help I give people today is, it's okay to feel your feelings, because that leaves space for what you really want, and you have to go clean it out. Forgive the past, give up the past, and don't let it affect your now, because right now is the gift of life. And when you have that gift, it's called the present.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, Marilyn. It is called the present. And we and I loved what you said at the beginning of the conversation, that it was through the meditation that helped you.
Well, meditation, a lot of people don't really understand what it is. But first of all, I had to learn to relax and let it happen and be open to it. Now, people will try to use all kinds of methods to get into that space. I was put on sabbatical from teaching. I'm a retired teacher. And I was laying down in bed exhausted for 2 years, because that's where the psychiatrist put me. And I'm a doer, do, workaholic overachiever. And I'm laying there just barely breathing. Couldn't even watch television. And I laid on my back and I said, okay, God, what am I supposed to be doing? Because I couldn't, I was totally unavailable to do anything, actually. And he says, now that I've got you on your back, I'm going to teach you to meditate. So I just opened up my heart, threw open my arms totally wide, and I said, I tried to read a book about it and couldn't figure it out. You're going to have to teach me. So I just laid there for 2 years in bed quietly. The first year I started getting silent voice information, which helped me heal my relationship with my mother. And I just let it come. I was totally open and receptive. You don't have to go through classes, and you don't have to pay a lot of hundreds of dollars to gurus. I just laid there and let it happen. And I was open to it happening and receptive to whatever came. And it was marvelous, because in the second year, I ended up being abandoned out of state I was still married, and he left town on a vacation, left me there stranded. And I went down to the beach and meditated. Okay, God, what do I do now? And so that's when I learned that you don't just hear the words that come in meditation. You have to take the action. And I was told how to get myself home. So, the point is, when we hear that intuition, some people call it, inside, you have to follow it and pay attention to it and actually do what you're told. And I've learned to trust it completely because I trusted people, and it got me into almost dying. So, today I'm living and enjoying life, and I couldn't laugh when I was younger because my parents were so depressed. You weren't supposed to be happy. They didn't want you happy because then they'd have to change. So I've had to learn to listen totally to what the directions come from inside.
So we really need to really and truly understand about the misinformation about our health care. It's not commonly known, as Marilyn is sharing with us through her story. And as someone who talks about taking control, we all have that ability to heal today. That is given to every single one of us. There is no one out there that is not capable of healing completely and fully. And I just want to leave that message because that's a very powerful message, Marilyn.
Well, Edgar Cayce says there are, in truth, no incurable conditions. He's the big psychic of the 20th century. And I have found that as I take control of my life, I have choice. And that's given me freedom to be myself and be healthy.
Absolutely. Marilyn Redmond, thank you so much for being with us today. Give us your website, please.
AngelicasGifts.com. And I have a blog, and I also have YouTube. If you Google me, you'll find me on the Google browser.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us today. And thank all of you. This has been another edition of the Frankie Boyer Show for WCRN, WACE, WADK, who takes us Monday through Friday, 2 to 4. You can go to wadk.com for more information. And don't forget Tuesdays on WCRN, the Cannabis Talk A to Z and Educational Odyssey. It's a mouthful, but it's a great show. And I thank you all for listening today. Take this information wisely, and we will see you next time. Make it a great day, everybody. And as always, smile.
That's the time. You must keep on trying. Smile, what's the use of crying? You'll find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile.
The preceding program was wholly sponsored and produced by Frankie Boyer, who is responsible for its content. Before beginning any health or fitness practice, consult your personal physician.